You are listening to the Rectify Gaming Podcast. This is episode 23 with your host, Twizted TV. Thank you so much for joining us, and we've got ourselves a nice little show planned out today. We've got some folks, actually, from Grifballhub, Cal and Goose. They're going to be joining us in the house. What's up, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Just jumping right on in. There's Goose. Cal, you there?
Yep, we're here.
Very nice, very nice. So we're going to be asking them questions and stuff about the latest Hammerforge update and stuff that came out, and of course the introduction of Grifballhub to Halo 5. Yay! So, and I call it Grifballhub. It's Grifball to Halo 5, but it's really your guys' baby. So, yeah,
we'll take it.
Yeah, that's okay.
Anyhow, also Tyboy is running the Slack for us today. So, what's up, Ty?
What's going on, guys? Tyboy's in the house.
He's back there on the wheels of steel. The ones and the twos, he's doing his thing. So we'll be jumping in and doing a few questions with him today too. So, all right, let's go ahead and just jump it off and see where we're at. I want to ask you guys questions up front, and then we're going to kind of go into the rest of our podcast stuff after that. And we have the Division launch that happened last night, some stuff that happened with that, Lions Head Studio, and man, that's kind of an emotional thing for some folks. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today too. But first, I want to get into talking with you guys about Grifball. I'm so glad to see this get back to Halo. I bet you guys are too.
Yes, very much.
Yeah, it's tough. After Halo 5 launched, we had no Grifball to play, which is the first time in a long time where we had to actually pick up our guns and do what we call shooting Halo for a few months.
It was a dark time.
It was a dark time.
Yeah, we didn't even have Assault either, so you really couldn't work with anything to make something similar to it.
Yeah, there was some people in the community were able to make a really broken flag version.
Oh, God.
It was really bad, but you could tell that they were desperate for a hit and they were willing to try anything.
Yeah, the first thing we took was before Forge came out, we just went on a breakout map and made it neutral flag, and it was like an honor rule. You can't use your pistol, you can't use the flagnum, but everybody can use swords, and it was not great.
It was bad.
Yeah.
So before they were able to do all that, what were you guys playing for your Grifball fix? Was it Reach was the next one? Because Halo 4 was big too, but it seems like the last time I really played Grifball was in Reach.
Yeah, we did a year of the MCC, which was painful for other reasons. The Grifball was fine. The getting people into a lobby and actually getting a game started was not. Before that, we spent from 2012 till 2014, we played a lot of Halo 4 Grifball, which is probably the closest to what Halo 5 Grifball looks like with the passing and sprint and all that. It's like Halo 5 is a ultra fancy version of Halo 4.
Definitely so, and I love the abilities, the additions and stuff. We'll talk about a little bit more of those for the Halo 5 stuff, like the ground pound and everything. But yeah, I think it works out well, and I'm glad to see that you guys were so willing to adapt to those too. Because anytime that there's something new that comes out in the sandbox, it's like, oh no, how's this going to affect the way our game's played, and whether or not you want to grab a hold of it. I'm glad you guys really did. Of course, I had a little pun there, the grab a hold pun.
Yeah, I think passing is probably the biggest success story about adding something new to Grifball. Like Halo 3 and Reach Grifball played very similarly, at least for vanilla Halo Reach Grifball with no armor abilities. But when Halo 4 introduced passing, it really opened up a new dimension to the game.
Yeah.
Before we were just thinking about hammers and swords and running, the runner just carrying the ball and following his tanks around. Tanks being the folks who have the hammers and clear the way for the runner to go in and score. But with the inclusion of passing, it just opened it up and created a bunch of new play opportunities. If someone's streaking towards the goal and you can do a Hail Mary and they catch it, or the runner gets in trouble and they can pass the ball back to their teammates. It just it really worked really well with the way Grifball is played and added a much needed new dimension to the gameplay.
Absolutely. I think that's what I appreciate about the game type in general so much is anytime that you're playing with a ball like that, you want to be able to pass and throw it. And to see that added, that addition in Halo 4 is probably one of the few things out of that particular game that I was like, this really works well. And I remember playing that and feeling it. It was a very good thing. So because you want to pass the ball and slam it in the goal. It's natural.
What's really fun is after we played Halo 4 for a while, we had a couple Halo 3 rushes, and there was this moment of panic where you're the runner and you want to throw the ball because you're in trouble, and there's this weird cognitive dissonant moment where you realize you can't and you're stuck, and I'm gonna die. Very interesting to go back and forth.
It's like when you go back to play Halo 1 and you're like, all right, I'm going to jack this ghost, and then you just get splattered and like, all right. I jack things back then.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lock the rocket launcher on. Oh wait, I can't lock it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna dual wield.
Never mind.
I love how we're going here. I don't know. Maybe you guys have felt this as well, but there's been many times where I've wanted to be able to like slam the ball with the hammer, and that moment of frustration where I can just drop the ball and just hit it with the hammer and send it fly or something,
Yeah, that was something that happened in Halo 4 a lot. The ball responded really strongly to hammer physics, which wasn't inherently a bad thing, but one of the problems hammer, it would disappear from your screen. Plus, the ball wasn't always on the radar, so it was really hard to find it. And so, literally, it would just disappear with those hammer physics, and that, of course, caused problems for Grifballers because we kind of like to know where the ball is. But I haven't had that problem so far in Halo 5, especially with that beautiful gold streak that goes behind the ball.
Yeah, sometimes it would be frustrating when you kill the runner with the hammer and then the ball goes flying back to the team that you just got the ball from. Like, wait, I just killed the runner. Our team should get the ball, but then it goes flying to the other end of the court. So that's one thing we did request for Halo 5 Grifball, is that when you hit the ball with the hammer, it's okay for it to move, but we don't want it to be like a line drive where it flies to the other end of the court.
Yeah, so it has more weight to it, but it's not like a spike going straight down to the ground as soon as it dies out of your hands.
Yeah, it's like a shot put rather than a beach ball.
Yeah. It definitely puts on weight.
Well, then I guess that will bring us up to the point where, so obviously 343 has brought you guys in and talked to you at some point because of the way that you're talking here. So why don't you tell the listeners a little bit more about how that works for you guys? And I mean, I could only imagine how excited I'd be to be able to actually talk to them about what I'm wanting to see in my game,
Well, it's kind of a long story, so I'll try to be succinct. So back in the day, when Bungie was still running things, they wanted to bring Halo Reach. They wanted to include Grifball. They reached out to Rooster Teeth, and Rooster Teeth said, hey, we really don't do that anymore, but these guys do it. And so basically Bernie Burns redirected Bungie to us, and we basically curated their Grifball playlist. We gave them maps, we gave them game types, we gave them updates. And so when Halo 4 came out and 343 took over, it was just kind of like this seamless progression of, hey, let us, you guys are the experts. You know exactly what you want. You know it works, and let's see what we can do. Kevin Franklin, who was one of the Halo 4 multiplayer developers, did a ton of research. We only found out after the fact. He listened to the Hubcast, which is our podcast. He read through the forums. He watched game films. It was really kind of embarrassing. But all very, very good. And so there's a lot of behind-the-scenes research that goes on. And then PAX 2012, was that?
That was right before Halo 4 came out.
Yeah, we actually were out there for PAX, and there was this really great moment where they had a bunch of community leaders over at 434, which was their previous physical location at 3, which is not confusing at all, especially if you're dyslexic. But so there were a bunch of us there, like Dusty from Potacular, I think Green Skull from Ready Apply was there, just a bunch of people. And we're all having donuts. It's like a community donut get-together. And this lovely woman comes up to me and asks, are you Goose Checka? And I say, yes. And she says, have you seen it yet? And I said, what? She's like, well, Grifball. And it had not been announced. It had not been talked about. And my face lights up like a megawatt spotlight. And I said, no. And all of a sudden, BS Angel runs over and goes, oh, no. And there's this like really tense moment where you're trying to figure out, I hope this poor lady is not getting in trouble. And then BS Angel just says, oh, no, they're under NDA. It's okay. And so they basically just take Cal and I, they remove us from the other community leaders. They shove us in their little testing room. And then we got to play Halo 4 Grifball before anybody else.
It was like being because they had was like scientists with their notepads and taking
Yes.
notes, and because they're like, oh, what did they just do? And then they asked us like 20 questions,
Oh.
like, okay, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? What kind of feedback do you have? Like one piece of feedback that we gave was originally auto catch was the only option in Grifball, and oddball too, supposedly for Halo 4.
Yeah.
Where if the ball was thrown at you, you'd automatically catch it. You didn't have to hold down X to catch
I
it.
remember that.
Is that an option now for Halo 5 where you can have auto catch on or not? Because I noticed like you have to actually like press the button to catch it or
I don't
pick it
think
up.
there's an auto catch option. I think they got rid of it entirely for Halo 5.
Yeah, I was
wanna give
wondering
a
about
for
that.
But yeah, that was one of
Does that
Goose's.
feel responsible?
Yeah, that was one of Goose's pieces of feedback.
That was
There-
the first thing out of my mouth.
yeah, there was no
It's like-
option to turn auto catch off. You had to have
Yeah.
auto catch on in that early
Yeah,
build.
a lot of the pro players kept like the auto catch off, from what I've noticed.
Yeah, we had a similar thing because in that play test, I'm tanking and I'm against a dev, so basically a noob, and I'm going to crush him, and he throws the ball at me, and there's this moment where you're
yeah.
defenseless because the auto catch comes on, and then he murdered me, and I turned around and was taking notes and said, no. Oh no,
You must
That is
take
not
this
fair.
out now.
this is not going to work. Like, well, toggle's fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, just no. So that's my contribution to.
Yeah. So I think in the Halo 4 playlist, what we settled on is there's one game type where auto catch is on. It's like the most noob friendly version of Grifball.
Mhm.
But in our league settings, auto catch in Halo 4 was always turned off.
Yeah.
Because we wanted that extra. It's not even much of a challenge to say you have to hold down X to pick up the ball, but it's just the added element, and it's much less annoying because you're not forced to pick up the ball if you don't want to.
Oh yeah.
So again, trying to keep it short. That was Halo 4. And then going into Halo 5, about a year before Halo 5 launched, we sent our contacts at 343 this epic 10-page wish list
Oh god.
of things we wanted for Halo 5 Grifball. Spectator mode and the ability to have the court not rotate each time so that each team was always on their own half of the court. So when you decorated it, you'd always be on the correct side of the court. Things about hammer physics, sword physics. I mean, it was this huge manifesto, and we sent it to them. And then as we've seen Halo 5 Grifball come out, we're going down the manifesto and checking off almost every single box. So I'm not saying we're the reason spectator mode is in Halo 5. I'm just saying.
We have to talk about the tank though, the tank map.
Oh yeah, that's
Kevin
it from
Franklin loves that.
Yeah, in Halo 4, Knockyard, one of our master builders, the Grifball master builder,
Yeah.
built on the thin ice court. I'm sure it has a name that's not Grifball related, but
Mhm.
it was the ice rink.
Yeah,
But he
in
put
Halo 4.
in Halo 4, and he put a wraith underneath it, and so the
Oh.
camera person was in the wraith because when you're in the wraith, you go to third person perspective, and so we would drive the wraith around underneath the ice court, watching so you could get an on the court view of the players playing.
And that's how we would live stream some games. Is we'd have the wraith, the streamer would be in the wraith underneath the ice, and the players would be up on the court playing their normal game, and we get the
I always
a spectator.
wondered what that view was from, and now I know. That's amazing. I was like,
Yeah,
how's that happen?
People freaked out in a good way. The viewers loved it. The Grifballers hated it.
Because there's a giant wraith on their radar.
Yeah, we couldn't turn the radar, or couldn't turn the tank off on the radar, and so Grifballers got to the point where they would stand with the tank and follow it so that they couldn't be seen on radar because their colors would overlap. Tricky. So yeah, we gave them this huge wish list.
Yeah, and every time we go to 343, it's somebody there mentions, oh yeah, the wraith map. That was their favorite thing. They blew their mind that somebody was able to put that together.
So you're welcome, Halo community. I'll take credit for Knockyard here. But speaking of Knockyard, they actually there's a community cartographers vid-doc that they released, and Knockyard's on there.
Yeah.
And what we can finally talk about now is that he stayed an extra couple days to help them build Grifball. So he built that beautiful ice rink court, which is technically now called Grifball Court, not
that's
the
my
original
favorite
name.
court.
The original name of that was actually Side Grinder,
Yeah, Side Grinder.
Wow.
after Sidewinder, because it looks like it's built in Avalanche.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grifball is a grind. But so that he made that court and just did a ton of testing with them. I mean, everything from the golden triangle of, hammer beats sword, sword beats ball, ball beats hammer, testing out the gravity hammer physics and everything that he could tinker with. So we definitely had that on hand, and which was great. So there was a Grifballer involved for many, many months before the game even launched, much as Halo 5 Grifball launched, giving feedback and doing, repping the rest of us.
It was nice too, because when Reach came out, and also when Halo 4 came out, Bungie and 343 tried to include a Grifball court with each of those games. In Reach, there was the Coliseum, which was an area on Forge World. It was an interior area in Forge World,
like a hangar.
Yeah, like a hangar that they wanted us to use as a Grifball court. And then 343 had a Grifball court on the disc in Halo 4 because Grifball was available at launch with Halo 4. Yeah, what eventually became Sarge's Lab. But both of those maps didn't have the right specs.
They were too big.
Yeah, the Coliseum was way too big, and the Sarge's Lab map, the walls were a little weird, and there were some nooks and crevices that shouldn't have been there. So it really benefited Halo 5 that they had Knockyard, who had built, or at least he had approved every single map that's ever been in matchmaking for Grifball, and had built a good number of those, that they had him actually come to the studio and build a Grifball court for Halo 5, so that when Halo 5 Grifball came out, it already had the perfect map with it.
Well, it's been absolute hell having to wait for it to happen, and just seeing the stuff that's happened for all the community members and the forums and the subreddits, and they're just like wrenching inside. They want Grifball so bad, and to see it finally hit the scene has been amazing, to say the least. I mean, I'm a big shooter person, so I really, like you said earlier, Halo with guns. I like that a lot, and to try to revert and play Grifball, it's really tough for me, but it's challenging because I get the meta. I like the intricate things like what you were saying earlier. The rock paper scissors type physics for gravity hammer and the ball, and sometimes when you see this launch out, you're like, oh no, all my friends are going to start playing Grifball. So it's a little fearful for me, but to get in there and really get to enjoy it. I know I've been playing it for a couple of nights now, just on and off, and I'm good for about 30 minutes. And then I start getting a little frustrated because you guys are so damn good. So I guess if I had more people I could practice with, that'd be excellent. But I'm such a perfectionist, and I want to make sure that what I'm doing is for the good of the game. And when I keep betraying my teammate, or like what you were saying earlier about picking up the ball, I'm like, oh yeah, I have to hold down the X. And it's just kind of frustrating trying to get rid of all of it in my mind. It's like, okay, you're not shooting, you're playing the game here. So, but yeah, that's just some of my personal things. And then Tyboy, he's not really good at anything to do with Halo anyway.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
Come on, Ty. Bring your skills in. The reason why I say this, guys, is because you should have seen him as soon as it launched. He's like, "Oh my god, I got my first major kill streak." And what was the kill that you got, Ty?
Killionaire.
I don't think I've ever gotten a Killionaire outside of Grifball. I think that's totally fine. That's legitimate. Like during the when we had ranked Grifball, I got my Grifty. It's the only time I ever got a 50, but it was my Grifty.
Yep.
It's a legitimate strategy.
I like that. I don't think I've heard of that.
Halo 5 Grifball was ranked too. Yeah. So that way you get those high ranks.
No, I don't. But no, it's been really great to see the community response. It's tough for us sometimes because on Grifballhub, we cater mostly to League players, and these are pretty much the most quote-unquote hardcore of the hardcore. They're dedicated. They go through seasons. They travel. They do all these things.
Some of them have been playing Grifball for Grifball leagues for 8 years now.
That's crazy.
Wow.
But we had this really tight-knit community, and I often think about Grifball as being this very niche, very small community of people who are really, really dedicated. And then you see something like Halo 5 Grifball launch, and the response is really overwhelming. And I do understand that most of these people will probably just stay in matchmaking, which is fine. But it's really cool to see the matchmaking playlist have so many people in it, and to draw so much attention and to get interviewed by I think it was Polygon, and to have the attention of 343 in that room. So it's really heartwarming to see this little thing that we love so much and have loved for 8 years before it was cool, since we're Grifball hipsters and things like that, to really see the community take it on and want it to continue to exist.
Yeah, it's really neat looking on Twitter, looking at the Halo subreddit, and seeing people post their Grifball highlights.
I love it.
That there are just so many people who they pull off really cool moves in matchmaking, and they just have to record it. They have to, XRT it and share it with the world. And it's just, it's just amazing to see that many people who never played in a Grifball league, never, probably they might not even be interested in playing in a Grifball league or, having a real team of 4 that they roll together with. But it's just, I pulled off this really cool move where I got launched way high and I got a ground pound for a score. Let me record it and share it with the world.
Heck yeah. And seeing with today's gaming, we can actually do that. And the folks over at Microsoft have made it super easy for us to be able to just record a quick clip, or if you wanted to share it on your timeline, you can do that. I remember playing Grifball originally in Halo 3, of course, and I had an amazing clip that I was able to save onto my hard drive, but I didn't have a capture card at the time. This is way before Twitter or anything. So basically I was left to just telling people about it, which sounds so less spectacular than what it actually was, and I know I've shared this before on the cast, so some people that are used to listen a lot, they might remember what we're talking about. But do you remember on Foundry, there was the of course we're talking Halo 3 here, Foundry, original Grifball. There was the little lip that would run the ceiling, the entire square of the ceiling above the court, right?
Yep.
And there was like a little small metal lip that if you were to be launched up there, you could grab onto, not clamber. This is way before all that, but just kind of like crouch and keep walking against the wall, and it would hold you there. And I vividly, and I still have it, I really ought to put it on YouTube, but I grabbed the ball, walked backwards. My teammates ground pounded, or not ground pounded, but hammered the ground behind me, which is, for those of you that are in the community and know that, it's called flowering. I'm sure they've probably changed it, a million times past then, but that would basically send the Griff flying ahead because of the physics. And they hit me in a position where I actually landed up on that upper ledge on the area where I needed to score. So I'm literally above the goal, and the other team's running around like little rats, just freaking out, like, where's the ball at? Where's the Griff? And then, of course, after my teammates kind of cleared them out a little bit, I dropped in on the goal from the ceiling.
Yep.
Amazing. I love stuff like that. And to think that now I could say, Xbox record that and then immediately share it. I mean, it's priceless.
It's great. And I think one of the things you're touching on is pretty much everybody who's played Grifball more than just a few games has one of those moments. League players, matchmaking players, I feel like most people have a moment where they were like, this is point Grifball. This is the best that Grifball will ever be. Happened for me like 7 years ago. So I
hit your Grifball peak last decade.
Yeah, I did. But you hold on to those memories. The fact that I can remember a specific game and a specific play I had in a specific game 7 years ago, that kind of tells you how important and how just emotionally and cognitively attached we are to this game. And again, it's not just League players, it's matchmaking, and we really saw that because when we asked for highlights, usually it's like pulling teeth because you have to record it or you have to have a capture card and then you have to send it in, and there's this huge process, and then we have to download them and rate them. And
I know, because it used to be you'd have to remember, after the game, save the film, go into theater mode, make the 30-second clip in theater mode, and then upload that to my file share, and then go to Bungie or Waypoint and find the URL to that link on my file share and share that link. And then on my end, when we make the highlight reel, we'd have to go and find the link, download it to our Xbox, load it up in the game, look at the clip, and then capture it from that. It was a very long and involved process to get any highlights.
It sucked.
Yeah.
And to think now that they had the editing software and everything right there, I mean, you could put a green screen of yourself going, hey, this is an amazing move. I mean, people don't even have any clue how easy it is now,
I mean, when we asked for highlights this time, basically all people had to do was do something really cool, say XRT. I say that because we have 2 Xbox Ones, and I don't want them to come to life right now. So XRT, and then I know we like to use xboxdvr.com.
Yeah.
Because all you do is you type in your gamer tag, and it brings up your 30-second clip with a link to it. And that's all people had to do was tweet us or post to Reddit their link. And we got, for our first highlight, and remember, we're talking a span of maybe 5 days, we got over 60 highlights, which is enormous and fantastic, and we're super stoked about it. So we're hoping that that's going to continue.
Yeah, you can make clips like that really easily, and we're actually friends of the community with Rectify Gaming and xboxdvr.com. So we've been using them for a little bit, about a year now, actually. So
yeah,
excellent guys over there, and they keep improving the system too. So
Yeah.
keep using, checking it out. So
Yeah, over the
The
past
hardest
year,
thing
it's
is
crazy.
being good. That's my pain point is I don't do cool things.
Yeah, because people are reluctant to send in highlights if there's these huge points of friction along the way, where it's really tough to make the highlight. Actually create the clip and share it. But it's just so easy these days to, as long as you do something cool, it is super easy to share it with everybody.
Although there is something that I've discovered called XRTR. It's Xbox Record That Remorse, where I think I do something really cool, and then I go and I look at it and just post it to my social feed, and I look at it and go, wow, that's actually really lame. Can I take this down? Because this looks terrible. This is what I'm highlighting. Oh, Lord. But I don't think that's a problem for... Maybe that's just a me problem.
Maybe that's just you.
XRTR. Yeah, I suffer from it.
All right. So, I have a question regarding Grifball. This actually may have been answered before, but how long do you think it will take to get more maps into the playlist in Halo 5?
Not long.
Yes.
I think that's about all we can say right now.
Okay.
Soon.
Very soon.
Do you guys think you'll ever have like a community competition for maps that like have community?
Yeah, we did.
You did?
More or less. I think we can say this. 343 asked the community cartographers.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I saw a tweet about
Hub and Grifballhub to collect maps, Grifball maps. Knockyard, who we mentioned before, made a template for Grifball maps. It's just this big invisible Grifball court, so it's got invisible walls and all the plants and all the spawns placed exactly where they need to be, and then you just go in and you design your court, using that template. And we got dozens and dozens of maps submitted for people saying, "Ooh, here's a Grifball map I made." It's only been out for like 2 weeks, so people have thrown these maps together amazingly quickly, and they are super high quality and just draw-dropping, amazing at how these maps look. Like there was one which most likely will not be a matchmaking for IP reasons. There was one that was a Temple of Time from Zelda. It had the Master Sword and everything built on it, so probably won't see that one in matchmaking.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, the whole IP.
Yeah, old Nintendo will sue you thing.
Yeah.
And then there's another one that was built. It looked like it was on Crow's Nest from Halo 3. So like in the hangar in the opening cinematic, the Pelican is actually flying out of the hangar.
Nice.
So you see the Pelican lead. There's one that is...
Rat's Nest?
Yeah.
Crow's Nest, rat.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can tell how old somebody is based on whether they call it Crow's Nest or Rat's
No, I
Nest.
can't take
I was just making sure we were talking about the same thing because I know you guys have so many different variants. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And there was another map where it was on an aircraft carrier in the middle of the ocean. And then when you started, normally in a Grifball map, it's like Breakout. You'd ride the man cannons and you fly in. On this map, the man cannons were put in Pelicans. So it'd be like your Spartan is jumping out of a Pelican onto the Grifball court, which is very cool. So those are so people take the Grifball template and they tweak it in such a way that the gameplay is almost the same, but everything cool around that can be different. Like people tweak the wall hops to make it, either it's just on two sides or it's bigger, there's multi-level. People tweak the intro cinematics and how people get to the court. There's one map where it was a remake of the Halo 3 map called Chichen Itza. It was a Halo 3 Grifball map people might remember from matchmaking.
I remember that map.
Oh.
So you had two giant wedges on either side, and the goals were up on top of these wedges. Yeah. So somebody remade that for Halo 5. It looks really cool, and it plays much better than the Halo 3 version.
Didn't that map have golf clubs on it?
Sorry, I love you, Knockyard.
Yeah, it wasn't Goose's favorite map.
I think it's called Bloodborne now? Bloodline, Bloodborne. The word blood is definitely in there.
Yeah.
That's when I cry if it gets into matchmaking.
So
I love you.
Yeah, so these maps are absolutely amazing. And this is just what people have put together in 2 weeks. I am really excited to see what people continue to put together and what they can... Because even like the opening cinematics can have crazy amounts of scripting in them.
Oh, yeah.
Like bay doors open and pelicans fly through.
Drop pods going to the court or something like that.
There was one where when you launch out, it looks like you're about to hit the wall, but then the walls magically open and they close behind you. And so every round you're being shot out, and it's like, is it going to open? Is it going to? Oh, okay, good, it opened.
Oh my god.
Yeah, awesome. No. It was... So yeah, long story short, soon for new maps.
Yes, and they're going to be amazing.
Okay.
Nice.
I have another one. Now this one may be a little confusing, but will there be modes where ground pound is disabled, but like say thruster is, and have a game mode called like thrust ball where other abilities are disabled? Can you disable other abilities in?
You can disable all the things.
Yeah.
So I know for league settings right now, they are very different from matchmaking in that the very first thing we did was remove shields from the tanks because there was too many trades and it really slowed down the gameplay. We removed the runner ground pound. So again, the person holding the ball in our league settings cannot ground pound because it was just too overpowered. Yeah. And defending it wasn't really an option. It was really, really difficult.
Our league players launch a lot more than they do in matchmaking. Like in matchmaking, the runner ground pound, it doesn't come up all that often because people tend to stay on the ground. But our guys like to hammer jump and launch and get the runner way up there.
They live in the air.
Yeah.
Try. And then like changing it so that it's round based. So every time you score, you start a new round as opposed to the continuous. And I think those are the biggest changes. So that it definitely is possible. I know Grifballers are working on that's kind of what we're using for league settings. There's also a variant that has no sprint, but thrust is still enabled. So I'm not a fan of that one, but I haven't played enough to really say. And there's also some Grifballers who are working on what they call quote-unquote legendary Grifball, which is a Grifball with all the toys taken away, which makes me sad.
It's like the Halo 3 anniversary version of Grifball.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
That seems fun.
Vanilla. I love vanilla ice cream.
Yeah. So much that Knockyard even did a remake of the old Foundry core, and it looks just like Foundry, just with updated graphics.
Oh, I want to see that.
Absolutely. It's worth playing, if nothing else, just to see that court. So to answer the question, you can do different variations. So for matchmaking, I know we're going to give them updates on what we'd like to see changed or tweaked in matchmaking. I think one of the biggest things, other than patching people being able to get out, is changing it to round-based. Because the continuous round, I haven't heard from anybody that actually enjoys that.
Oh, I like the new way, there's no rounds, to be honest.
Okay, so I found one.
I do like it because I never like the interruption into playing. I just want to keep on going on, have that constant pace going. But I understand why people don't like it.
I mean, especially if you are a team that can get set up in such a way that you can score 5 goals in 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Although if you're that good, you're probably going to do it anyway with round-based. But again, those are right now are the league settings that we're looking at.
For matchmaking, what we would recommend to 343 for matchmaking is leave these toys on, just because the ground pound, for example, the runner ground pounding was something that 343 even highlighted in the trailer for Hammerstorm, that they think that's a really cool move, and it is really cool, and it makes really cool clips. It's just not perfect for competitive play. So even though our league settings might take it away, that's something that could stay enabled in matchmaking because it's a fun thing to do.
It's like if there was a rocket launcher that had unlimited ammo and you were the only person that spawned with it in an MLG game. It's really fun, but it might not make the cut when it comes time for the circuit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah, mapping it out. It looks completely different once you start playing it, You write it out on paper, and especially like what you're saying, whenever you're playing with people that are in the air all the time, I wouldn't want to go against people that were constantly diving down on me with the ball. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we're not, I wouldn't expect new matchmaking settings as soon as we'll get new maps, because the new maps seem to be more of a priority right now. Mm-hmm. But eventually I wouldn't be surprised if we see different tweaks and different flavors of Grifball show up in the playlist.
Yeah, I mean, I could see Legendary being an option in the playlist.
Yeah.
Especially since you're playing on the original Foundry court. And we like all flavors. We like all types.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I see that you guys tweeted out earlier that you are at 41% of the way for GrifCon 2016 in Tennessee. Congratulations.
That's great to see.
That's awesome. How do you think that might play out for RTX? Do you guys think you're going to have a bigger tournament than you did last year?
We will see.
You just hear this collective.
Yeah, we are taking it one step at a time.
Yeah.
For anybody who's curious about this, Grifballhub goes to RTX every year.
Which is the Rooster Teeth convention in Austin, Texas, July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Yep, because Grifball and Rooster Teeth have a shared history that
we're BFFs.
Yeah, Rooster Teeth created original Grifball back in the Halo 3 days before they handed it off to Grifballhub. So we go to RTX every year. We have a booth. We have playable Grifball. We have a lot of Grifball swag, shirts and other Grifball stuff we have for folks, posters. And to fund our Grifball booth, we run a Kickstarter every year.
Yes.
And that's what we're running right now. It just went live a couple of days ago. And so far, the response has been, as it is every year, astonishingly good.
Overwhelming, like cry.
Yeah, and every year
response.
it gets funded faster, I noticed.
Well, if you want to think about it, our very first year, we asked for $1,600.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That was just the price of the booth. And we're like, there's no way. Who's going to give us $1,600? And we ended up with $4,000. And then the next year we asked for $4,000 and ended up with about
$9,000.
About $10,000.
Yeah.
And then last year we asked for $12,000 and we ended up with about $13,000 or $14,000.
Yeah.
This year we're asking for $13,500, I think is our exact number. And again, we're 41% of the way there. So the first year we had two 10x10 booths. So whereas last year, by comparison, we had a 20x20. So we had 400 square feet. We had 16 Xboxes, 16 screens, obviously 16 controllers.
Yep.
We could have 2 full games of Grifball running simultaneously. We had a Grifball tournament, which I think you mentioned earlier, that 343 gave us $5,000 as a cash prize.
I was in the tournament as
really,
the
really
Rectangular
cool.
Cats.
And so we're hoping, our goal every year is to do as much cool stuff as we did the previous year, and then hopefully better, but at minimum, deliver what we delivered last year. Yeah. So that's not me hinting at anything. I want to be very clear. It is still, we haven't even funded the booth yet, so we're not focusing on the cash prize particularly, but we do have some sponsors that we're working with to try and figure things out, and obviously 343 is invested in Grifball. They had me and Bernie and Frank O'Connor be interviewed by Polygon to talk about it. They're really pushing it, and they really want to support it. So we always want it to be bigger and better. And but right now we're just focusing on meeting the Kickstarter goal so that we can move forward with those kind of fun ideas.
Yeah, we need the physical space on the RTX floor first.
Yeah.
So
and then once we have that down, we can see about finding a cash prize for the tournament and all that.
Nice. We'll make sure we link into the Kickstarter all throughout the show, wherever this is going to be posted, whether it's over on YouTube or on our website, because we'd like to be able to direct that traffic over there. I've been listening to you guys for a long time, and I'm not going to go off too deep in this, but I literally have. It's been almost 6 years now, and I remember driving 30 minutes to work every day and enjoying listening to the Grifball podcast, and you guys were something that was a big part of me. I used to listen to that and Podtacular a lot back in the day during that drive, and I must say you guys kind of won my heart listening to the passion behind the game. So, and you can tell that the community is right behind you too, because whenever you're succeeding as much as what you are right now, for what is essentially just a game type, but you guys are a lot more than that, and I'm hats off to you. I'm very, very glad that the community is standing behind you. So, yay!
Yeah, I have this moment a few times a year where I just am overwhelmed and thinking that Grifball is way too big for its britches, right? Because Grifball is we're just a silly game type in the Halo franchise. Like we're not a video game unto ourselves. We're not even the most important part of Halo. We're the biggest part of Halo.
We're not HCS.
Like we're not HCS. And Grifball shouldn't really exist anymore. Like, Grifball should have died in the Halo 3 days, but for some reason it's still around. And that reason is just because our community is very diehard. Our community is very enthusiastic about the game, and they just will it to continue to exist.
Yeah, the passion that we show is just like a sublimation of the passion that our community shows. And it's really hard not to get psyched for this kind of thing when you see how people react and how excited they are for something as, to me, as silly as a sticker. Like, really, you're gonna come to the booth and you just want a sticker? That's okay, that's fine. But they're so stoked about it. Or a better example, our box art. So Cal made this really fantastic Halo 5, or was it Pop who made the Halo 5 box art?
Pop made the Halo 5 one.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, I have one of those. They're nice.
And then people, both at the booth and when we're streaming, I don't want to say flip their shit because that's a little too extreme, but people get really excited about it. And in my head, I'm thinking it's just this little thing that we made. And I feel like that about Grifball. It's just this little thing that we curate, that we have the mantle of responsibility, so to speak, for Grifball. The people are so passionate and they love it so much, whether they're in matchmaking or whether they're pro players or whether they used to play or whether they're brand new. It's really kind of overwhelming.
I want to go back and touch just a little bit more on what Cal was just saying just a minute ago about HCS. You guys are right. You're not HCS, but the thing about it is, for someone like myself, I'm very competitive, right? I've played Halo from the get-go, and Halo is competitive. That's just what it is at its core. But the important part is to still have fun. And over the years, that's probably been the hardest thing for me to remember, is that I'm sitting down to a video game. I'm having a good time here. And even though I'm going to get on there, I'm going to put on my try-hard pants, I'm going to get sweaty, I'm going to do this, I still want to have a good time. And I think that that's what a lot of the community is standing behind you guys with, is that, there's a lot of those guys in ACS and whatnot. I mean, it's so hard. They're playing at such a high caliber level of professionalism that it's no longer fun. It's fun to watch, but to try to play against these guys, it's like, Jesus, I just got destroyed, But if I can grab a hammer and I can, chuck a ball, I'm having a good time again. And I feel like that leaves them that glimmer of hope of the competition is still there, but I still feel like I'm, being part of it, and it's Halo and I love it. And I mean, I would like to see more of that competition be picked up in the future, to where you guys are, maybe featured a little bit more towards that type of stuff, maybe see you on the main stage or something at some point. But the main thing for me is that we don't get away from what the game's really about, and that's just having fun. And I really feel like you guys give that to us.
What's interesting is we have players in our community. I would probably say the top 10, 20 teams that we have. You would think that there is $1 million on the line. And I mean that in total respect to our players. They get on, they practice, they organize, they have call outs, which might seem silly to an HCS person. They have plays, they have these beautiful organized orchestrations that they do to make things happen. And they really do play at another level. I mean, they go in and whip my butt every single time I play, and that's why I administrate. But at the same time, there is this other end of the spectrum where you can just come in and pick up a hammer and throw the ball around, and that is also enjoyable. So the idea that Grifball is something that's really easy to pick up, but really difficult to master. The skill cap on Grifball is really, really high. But it's not scary to approach. You come into a game of shooty Halo, okay, there's loadouts, there's guns, I've got like 10 different guns. What do I do? What do I pick? And do I go with the Warthog? Do I choose the Oni? Do I choose the one that looks like a snowman ate it? What do you do? Whereas Grifball, your options are hammer, sword, bomb. And then if you want to get fancy, you can start throwing in ground pounds or hawk dives or shark downs or wall hops or Mario hops or cake, or just all these different things that Grifballers do to kind of raise the level of skill involved. And I'm sure our players enjoy playing. I don't think it's frivolous fun, like for maybe many matchmaking people maybe, but they definitely have fun. They definitely enjoy it. And there's definitely a competitive side to it. But there's also this other large part of the community that I know for Cal and I, we play to have fun because we're terrible.
Because we won't win.
We won't win. And there's no illusions of grandeur going on here unless we ban everybody, and that's about the only way we'd win. But yeah, there is this very kind of almost two separate communities between our diehard competitive Grifballers and then our more social Grifballers, but they coexist together really well.
And I think there's something important that you touched on about Grifball is, at its very core, an inherently silly game. Like, you're running around, you have these Spartans, and they're running around a court beating each other with sticks. It's something that when you watch it and when you first pick it up, or when you show it to somebody who perhaps isn't a normal first-person shooter fan, like, there's something about Grifball that just instantly grabs them. That it's different enough from the rest of the Halo. It's different than Call of Duty. It's different than, shooty Halo. It's different than even something like Destiny. Like, it's not you're shooting aliens in the head, and it's not about getting the perfect sniper kill. It's about beating this person over the head with a giant gravity stick. And there's just the silliness of it, I think, captures a lot of people when they play Grifball for the very first time. It just never really lets go of them.
But that ball mechanic, it really hits the core of what, all of us, I'd say, even, from being preschoolers, grade schoolers, whatever, we've been taught to, play basketball or hit soccer or, all those things. It seems like it comes right back around full circle, and boom, you find yourself with a gravity hammer.
Yeah, and Grifball too, it's definitely, I mean, we really embrace the sport angle of Grifball. Like, it's a couple, names for Grifball, the sport of the future, or the best sports game within a first-person shooter. And Grifball in a lot of ways, I feel like Grifball is more of a sport, more similar to real life sports than something like HCS would be.
Yeah.
And because HCS, you have a lot of elements in it that aren't there in real life sports, but Grifball, it's a plain court. You can see everybody on your team. You can see everybody in the opposing team. You're not hiding behind a wall to assassinate someone. You're not going to get a headshot from across the map. It's all about it positioning and advancing the ball down the court and finding it, putting it on the pad and scoring it at the end. And it really harkens back to real life sports.
Yeah, it's almost like hockey.
And sum up what Grifball is to somebody. We usually compare it to lacrosse or rugby.
Like murderous lacrosse and rugby had a baby.
Yeah, exactly. It's like lacrosse with more death and violence.
Hard to believe.
A bloody baby. A bloody
Yeah.
baby. Well, the sport of the future, I'm glad that you said that, and we'll use that as a perfect transition because Lord knows we could talk Grifball for a 2-hour podcast, no troubles, right? So
only 2 hours? We can keep going. We got a couple days.
But you say sport of the future, and I've been dying to ask you guys because it's something that's happened the last couple of weeks here for the Xbox community. People that are over there on PS4 have been enjoying it for about a year now. Rocket League. And I recently just purchased it and have been playing it and having a great time. And I couldn't help but see some of the similarities here. I mean, obviously there's no gravity hammer and all that kind of stuff, but there's a ball and there's a goal, and I could see the Grifballers getting into this. So I beg to question you guys: have you been getting into Rocket League at all? And if so, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, first off, we're going to sue them for infringement. Obviously, Grifball with cars. Instead, we've played a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It actually reminds me there was a Grifball variant called Smash Ball where it had goals set up like you see in Rocket League, and you used the golf club instead of the hammer, and you had to hit the golf ball around the court and try to get into the quote-unquote net. So there's a lot of crossover there, and I remember the first time I played Rocket League, I said, this is Grifball with cars. That's all it is. One thing, I enjoyed it, but I also did notice that the learning curve was ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
So the difference between someone who's never played and someone who's played 5 games is almost astronomical. So that was something that I really had to get used to. I think that's something that Grifball doesn't suffer from, is that someone who's played 1 game of Grifball is not going to be 5 times better, or someone who's played 5 games of Grifball is not going to be 5 times better than someone who's played their first game. But I think that's going to be a challenge, although it doesn't really seem to be bothering anybody. But I think it definitely benefits from the esports hype that's going on. Again, it's kind of an inherently ridiculous game, especially the way you can trick out your cars and make them look ridiculous and customize them. And like the flips and the moves you can do, to me, are very similar to ground pounds and things that.
And it's really easy to explain. You drive the car around and knock the ball into the goal.
Yeah, it's Grifball with cars.
Yeah, that's as easy as it gets.
Yeah, but again, just like you were talking about with Grifball, it's simple in theory, but it can start to get very extreme. And I noticed that just a few hours of play that I've had, and the little tricks that you can do, like you could jump up in the air and then almost like air strafe or flip your car over, which will of course be the direction that the ball's going to go in. I mean, there's all kinds of cool stuff like that you can do with it. So I don't know. I'm not very good at Grifball. You guys say that you're not very good, but I'm sure you would probably score on me. I'd love to get you guys in some Rocket League too. So get you some one-on-one with us. So maybe you can do that with the Rectify community sometime.
Yeah, Rocket League's very popular among Grifballers. There are a lot of Grifballers who absolutely love it, who get online and play Rocket League all the time. When it was announced for the Xbox, I mean, people were playing it on their PCs and their PS4s before, but when it got announced for the Xbox One and when it came out recently, our community was very hyped for it. There's a lot of crossover appeal between the two.
Yeah, because they're fundamentally the same. Very, very, very similar in the fact that you can watch it and you can understand what's going on, and if you play it, even if you don't have master of the controls, you can pretty much understand. And there's not really a penalty for sucking other than losing, as opposed to it can be really disheartening in Shooty Halo to just spawn and die. It's not very fun. And I found in Rocket League, even as bad as my first couple games were, it's not like I was dying. I was at least driving my car around. I'm like, this is fun. This is okay. But then, you learn you can definitely...
Spawn camping doesn't happen in Grifball at all, does it?
Spawn die? No. Never.
That's me.
Spawn die. There's been many a match. I'm just like, I'm just going to walk away from my controller and make a sandwich right now. So.
One tie-in with Grifball though is one of the maps we got submitted for matchmaking was a Rocket League map. Somebody meticulously recreated one of the Rocket League arenas as a Grifball court, even down to having yellow lights on the floor where the little Rocket League, the power-ups are.
Beckwith was the name of the map, or of the Rocket League map. It was based on Beckwith. Does that sound right?
I'm
sure that's what it was.
Okay.
Don't you give me that look.
It could be.
Not from the top of my head.
So
I don't know the name.
It was really cool to see it set up like that.
Yeah, but again, that's probably one we won't see in matchmaking because of IP reasons.
Yeah, probably. I'm wondering because now you just got me curious. Like if the Griff could walk over the little boost sections, and get a little extra.
Oh yeah,
added boost,
or walk on the walls, but I doubt that'll ever happen.
Yeah, run up on the walls because then you'd really have to get rid of ground pound. So.
Yeah, change the little yellow things to be speed. I mean, there are speed boosts in Halo 5.
It's like Thunderdome. You're talking about Thunderdome.
Yeah, it's true.
Cool.
I just say that because I'm a runner, and I don't believe that people who play as runners are actually people.
I'm a runner.
I know. I don't think the runner should have any power and should be completely helpless. That's my preference.
I think the runner should be a tank. Like a literal
scorpion tank?
Yeah.
Because tank beats everything.
Tank beats everything.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, something pretty big happened last night. Do you guys know what it was? It was the Division launch.
I was in bed before midnight. High five.
Yay.
Yeah.
And from what we're understanding, they were having some problems with servers last night. All over Twitter, it was blowing up. Everyone's deep-seated love for the folks over there at Ubisoft, and I feel for them. I know there's a lot of choices. Anytime that you put out a brand new game, especially a game like the Division that's got a lot of hype behind it, the servers are going to get crushed, and they got crushed on more than one occasion last night, from what I saw.
Oh yeah, only certain people could go in, and it was a big old mess from what I see on Twitter. I have yet to get it though. I'm waiting out on the Division because of past games, so like Destiny, and how community was towards Destiny. So being a little that's kind
of where I am with it right now too. Yeah, just kind of holding out.
Yeah, I just want to see. All I see now on Twitter is all positive reactions. But like you said earlier, Twizted, we talked before the show that there's some ways that people are being trolls on the Division, like how.
No, not troll, not online gaming.
Twizted, what was it? What was the room like? Players can't walk into each other; they'll block the other players from going on.
If you haven't played the Division yet, they basically start you out and you're in a safe house, they call it, or a safe zone. And it's basically there's no weapons or anything, but you just kind of spawn in and you're able to walk around almost like the tower was in Destiny. You kind of walk around, you pick up your weapons, you decide on what you want to go do. Well, that area in the game, you can actually bump into other characters, even if they're not part of your fire team I'm sorry, I shouldn't say fire team. See, you can tell I've played Destiny for but, you get the idea. If they're part of your team or you could actually bump into other players, which that you wouldn't think that would be a big issue, but the doorways leading out into the quote, and I'm doing the quotation fingers, the real world, those doorways are literally like doorways, like small entrances. And seeing that you can bump into your players that are also on the map with you and you can't move them, people are being trolly and smart like they always are in the online community. And they're standing and blocking the doorways out into the, quote, real world. So you cannot leave the safe zone area. So there's a lot of seated contention there. They're like, okay, you guys got to fix this. So
yeah, that's actually something I did not hear about, but...
Yeah, I see a hot patch coming really quick to where they make it to where
within like a day.
The players are invisible. Yeah, it has to be.
It has to be. The amount of people that are probably playing that game right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how many people between Xbox One and PS4. It must be thousands and thousands.
It's a lot of people. Yeah. I know on one of the subreddits that I was reading on, they were saying that some of those guys had already said that they knew that they could do this, but they purposely did not do it. The hope that it wouldn't get patched out before the actual game launched. And that to me is just, it's so frustrating, like on a different level. As a gamer, as someone that wants to get on and enjoy what I'm doing, to know that you like purposely threw the beta just to go around something and see if it's going to be an issue when the game launches. It's like, damn you people of the internets.
Yeah.
An endemic of the industry itself, though. You see a lot of games. It's more rare now for a game to launch smoothly than to launch rocky. Like I can think of, I think it was last year, SimCity.
From the 2013.
Oh, 2013. God,
Yeah.
wow, I'm old. Like that was a huge mess. Ubisoft in particular has had several issues launching games that are actually complete.
The latest Batman game.
Latest Batman game. I had another. Oh, Destiny. Yep. Destiny is another example. Goodness gracious, Master Chief Collection. So it seems almost the rule now rather than the norm. And I think you're going to see a decrease in pre-orders. I know I don't pre-order games anymore for those exact reasons.
Yeah.
I don't want to go off on this big long tangent, but I can't help but see that is it because of the scope that these games are being developed on now? Or do you guys feel like, I'm starting to think that they're just kind of rushing through it, where before, it seemed like they kind of got all that stuff all together before it launched. I mean, I know like for Halo 2, okay, I'll never forget them, almost not being able to launch the game because there was code that they were finding right at the last minute.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, hearing that story.
I mean, you talk about a nail-biting situation, and back then, buddy, there were no updates. When those discs rolled out, that was the game, and it was either working or not working. So could you imagine what that's like nowadays? I mean, the developers they've got it so much easier now to where they can just go in and change or do whatever they want to on the fly. And I kind of wish there was a little bit more stringent pressure from the community to where, like what Goose Check is saying, we're not pre-ordering because you guys can't release a completed game. You're releasing the shell of a game and then adding stuff to it, throughout the next year and a half, 2 years worth of content.
I think those two things go hand in hand, where because they have the option of patching it after it ships, developers bite off a lot more than they can chew, and they take on more and more ambitious projects. Like in the end, if you were to pick up, Game of the Year edition of Halo 5, whenever that comes out, it's going to be the most content you'll ever get in a Halo disc for $60. But those of us who bought the game at launch, we got a lot less content in Halo 5 than we did in any previous Halo title. I think it's just the developers they set their sights, far wider than they have before. They add lots of new modes. They develop more deeply than they ever did. And then it's just putting it in a state where it can be released at some point during the development and then continuing development afterwards because they have that option now. And it can be really frustrating for people who want to spend $60 and buy a complete game.
I mean, not to defend, incomplete games, but I do think that developers are also being put on shorter and shorter timelines with less and less budget.
I would agree
and
with that.
has to do more and more. So I think that's also a part of it too, is that the idea that you don't make the holiday season is unacceptable. We're seeing a little bit of a shift with that. The Division coming out in spring. There's several big games that are coming out in spring, and I think developers are toying with the idea of having not more than one big release window, kind of the way we've seen Hollywood blockbusters go from summer only to summer and Christmas, and now there's all the Iron Man movies and stuff coming out in spring. So I think it's just this giant crush of people don't want to pay more for games, so games are having to do more with less money technically, because again, the expertise and that you need to make a game on the Xbox One is more than you needed on the original Xbox. There's more polygons, there's more power, there's more dev time required, and I don't think the industry has flexed with the demands of the quality of games, and that's what you're kind of seeing, is that the quality is getting infringed upon because the demands are not being elastic enough to allow developers to do what they need to do. But then you look at a game, I think it got pushed back 6 months, didn't it? Or 3 months?
Skyrim didn't, no.
Or was that
Oblivion did?
Oblivion, there you go. Oblivion got pushed back several months, and I feel like people were fine with it. I think people are sad their game takes longer to get out, but I know I would much rather wait an extra 3 months for a game and have it come out and know that
have it work.
It works. But I think that's where the industry itself is kind of battling against itself. It's its own biggest enemy right now.
Yeah. At the rate that we're consuming information, if they release a title and it's not working within the first week or two, it's so hard to try to get back on the same page. I really feel for them because the pressure that's there is immense. But I'm like you. I think I would rather see them just focus on the core elements and then sprinkle in, the goodness later on down the road, as opposed to coming up with all these grandiose ideas at the very beginning to sell the game and then realizing that half of it's broken. And people aren't going to support something that doesn't work. We don't have to go on about the Master Chief community or Master Chief collection, but that was probably the most heartbreaking thing for me, is just
that's like the worst launches I've seen.
Just something simple like the communication. I couldn't communicate with people in my party. That's
between
broken.
the Xbox party and the Master Chief collection was not a good combination.
Yeah, I think I would have rather dealt with long wait times on the server, or a laggy connection during game. But once you broke that ability to be able to talk back and forth, it's like, not only are we having problems here, but I can't talk to my friends either. And let's not ever have that happen again. Okay.
Agreed.
We'll talk about. Yeah, you feel it too. I know.
Oh boy, did we ever?
So, and of course, the gut wrenching part is that this is the classics. This is the nostalgia, and then it came to our new console, this beautiful Xbox One, that did not happen right at the beginning like we wanted it to. So,
yeah, one thing I think shows off the differences here is that you have smaller games like Rocket League that work really well at launch. And like any other like tiny Xbox Live Arcade game, those things are usually flawless or near flawless at launch, because they don't bite off so much, and it seems to be better able to put those games together and have them be quality at launch.
Who made Rocket League? Islands.
The Rocket League developers.
Okay. That's also part of it too. Is if you're small and no one expects the next Halo, the next Call of Duty, it's easier to. They don't have expectations. It could fail and nobody would.
Yeah. I'm glad we do have patches these days for at least fallback stuff, because I do remember back in the day you'd have games like Knights of the Old Republic 2 that came out that was half finished and they released it and they couldn't update it, or even the original Fable when that came out and it was unfinished when the first Fable came out, and they had to re-release it a couple of years later as the lost chapters and provide the second half of the game.
That's good. Is it Phoenix?
Yeah, I don't know how to say it. It's like precise. I don't know how to say it. It's Psyonix.
Oh, I think it's Sonics. Psynos. Sonics.
Yeah, Sonics.
Yeah, I guess it's like that.
They did a bang up job on it, and it's a really good game. We love it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that you said that about Fable just a moment ago too, Cal, because that's a perfect segue to what also happened in the community yesterday. Really sad to report, it looks like they have broken down Lion's Head, the developer, and
Press Play.
Yeah, and Press Play. That's right. So that's, I don't know, that's really big for people that are hardcore into Fable. They might as well just said, sorry, Halo 2 is not coming.
Yeah, even from seeing the hype about Project Knoxville, I was kind of surprised by that, because that was one of the fan voted games. It was between that and two other games by Press Play, and I remember they interviewed one of the guys from Press Play at PAX Prime's Major Nelson's panel, I believe, and they had a whole thing about it. And I was looking forward to the game, but I guess something went on in the studios that couldn't go on. So.
No, Cal's been a huge Fable fan. He loved Fable before he loved me. So, right?
Yeah, I do remember reading about the original Fable, and even with its shortcomings when it came out. I mean, when it came out, it was notorious for not living up to its hype before. But I still thought it was a very fun game and enjoyed playing it.
Yeah.
So it is sad to see that they're closing down the studio and it's probably the IP is going away.
I've never.
There's no way the Fable IP is dying.
No.
In the age of Halo 6, I don't think a Fable 4 is out of the question.
I've never touched a Fable game yet. I own Fable 2 and 3, so I have no idea what Fable is like. Maybe I should try.
Fable is actually one of those that I was on the cusp of getting Fable 2, and then I had other things that came up at the time in life, real life, the real world, not the one that's blocked by the guys that are being not fair. But it was one of those moments where I was like, I almost got it, And I have so many people that still to this day I talk back and forth with, and they absolutely are wrenched about Fable not being out there. So I'm like you guys. I'm hoping that there's some way that this gets picked up by a different developer or something continues. I'm sure there's legalities and stuff all in that. I wonder how that actually plays out. Have you guys ever seen this happen before with other games that you can think of? I mean, I can't.
Now, I might be getting my publishers confused, but I'm pretty sure that Tomb Raider, isn't that on a different developer now, like with the reboot and Rise of the Tomb Raider, as opposed to like the N64 Tomb Raider versions? Not entirely sure.
I don't think so.
I think another close example would just be how a studio would really downsize and get bought out by somebody else, like all of Rare's properties.
Look at BioShock.
Oh, BioShock. Yep.
Yeah.
Or Fallout. Fallout's another good example.
That's true.
There you go. So, and both very good games that we wouldn't want to see the end of. So, I've gotten my hands on both of those guys, and I love them. So, yeah, it'd be nice. So, who knows? Maybe there's some future out there for Fable after all. So,
think about it too. It's a little disheartening to see so many Microsoft first-party titles fall apart like this.
Yeah.
Because I know they shuttered their TV studio when they tried to get that up and running a couple years ago.
Yeah.
They had to buy Gears of War and make that a first-party title. They haven't done much with the Rare games that they purchased several years ago.
Well,
yeah, like that's about it. They
I mean, we have Sea of Thieves coming this year too, so by Rare.
Yeah. And now, they had the Kinect sports games that Microsoft, all the Kinect games, the first-party Kinect games, those have all fallen by the wayside and been canceled.
Yeah.
And now you see the same with Fable. It's a little disheartening to see that the only real first-party title Microsoft has going for them right now is Halo and perhaps Gears of War.
Hey, you know what? I don't think you get to make that argument when you're a Yankees fan.
Oh.
If Microsoft just wants to buy all the top picks, like Minecraft, I think that's totally fine. All right, Mr. Derek Jeter lover.
Yeah, just throw their money around and buy.
Let's go
buy
Mets.
Well, they bought Minecraft. I mean, I don't think it gets much more championship than that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that was a big purchase. I also feel like in Xbox's defense, I shouldn't say Xbox, Microsoft's defense, that they're going out on a limb more, it seems, than what the other competitors are, and it seems like they do more of that first party title. So I really hope that this isn't a change to what their game plan is, because I really do like that. And as someone that hasn't owned a PlayStation since the original PlayStation, which was actually given to me as a gift, so to this day I still have not purchased a PlayStation ever. I'm solely behind Xbox, and I hope that Microsoft can use this as a stepping stone and not shove TV down our throats anymore. So,
no, I think one place that you're seeing Microsoft do really well when it comes to new IPs is their ID at Xbox.
Yeah,
the indie game that they're producing and that they're publishing, I think is really great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the last time I checked, they had so many IPs coming out that they had to like double stack them on different days.
Yeah.
Not like releasing one on Monday, one on Wednesday, one on Thursday. You're seeing them come out with like 2 or 3 on Monday and then 2 or 3 on Thursday.
It's insane.
Because there's actually too much content and not enough days of the week.
Another one of those games, the ID at Xbox games, is Cuphead. That's like one of the most highly anticipated games for Xbox One. We haven't heard much about it since PAX Prime, really, so it's going to be interesting to see that.
E3 is coming.
Yeah.
I guess we can throw that out there. E3 is coming.
That's like the only indie game that had a mascot.
Yeah.
That was pretty interesting for a small little game to have that. So thought that was cool.
And you want to take a slightly broader view of Microsoft and Sony and what they try out. I mean, Microsoft is more than just the Xbox division. Like, Microsoft is an absolutely huge corporation, make a ton of money from their business side, their office products. I mean, Microsoft can afford to try out some crazy ideas. Let's experiment with this game and see if it goes anywhere, or let's try out our TV division. Maybe we can have this catch on. Sony doesn't have that kind of flexibility because Sony doesn't make much aside from PlayStation anymore. They make PlayStation and they make some TV parts.
Yeah, they make some
just
TV stuff. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most other parts of Sony have died out at this point. Like, they don't make digital cameras anymore because digital cameras have more or less died out.
Yeah, basically.
If I remember right.
Microsoft has more of them.
Yeah, the biggest revenue producer for Microsoft is Microsoft Office.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain about that, and I'm pretty sure that they might even lose money on the Xbox.
So if Microsoft strikes out in a few areas of the Xbox, it's not damaging. They're not going to stop making Xboxes or Xbox games. Sony, on the other hand, if a PlayStation is a failure, Sony will not make another PlayStation ever
PlayStation's
again
a big deal with Sony now. It's insane.
That's probably why we see Microsoft more willing to take risks on these sort of things, and Sony is much bigger on playing it safe.
Yeah, they have more of an opportunity to grow out to other things than any other company like Nintendo. So it's going to be interesting to see what Nintendo comes up with this year at E3 about the NX.
That's the truth. They need to have a good stage presence because they just haven't been there the last 2 years. So
Nintendo does its own thing. Like I don't even. They do what they want.
Oh yeah. They don't want to be associated with the competition and all that.
They have no F's to give.
Yeah.
And they do them, which I think is awesome.
Mm-hmm. So
I saw like eight middle finger hands to the computer screen when you said that. No F's to give.
Well, I mean, it is what it is.
No, I'm saying the little the funny gift, people say it's just funny.
Okay.
I like it.
Do you. Nintendo do you, baby. You just do you.
You just do you. You just do you. Well, Ty, is there anything else on the media front that you've seen that we need to cover today?
One thing to notice, Gears of War 4 will be Game Informer's April cover, and also we know that Gears of War 4 will star Marcus Phoenix's son. So
you're into that? That's something to look forward to.
Yeah, there's gonna be some exclusive content coming from Game Informer about Gears of War 4 next month, and plus PAX East is next month. So I wonder if there'll be a Crackdown panel, Gears of War panel, Recore panel, because I know there was a Scalebound one at PAX Prime. So
we'll see. I'll
be at PAX East.
What?
I'll be at PAX East.
Yeah, Goose has
we'll be there. We actually 5 of us are gonna be there. We got accepted for media at PAX East. It was insane.
Congratulations!
Yeah. Thanks.
Got a lot of people fooled. They think the Rectify games.
Yeah, it's actually our first media at a PAX event. So that's it. It's going to be interesting to see what we'll do there. We'll try to get some interviews.
Same way. I have a speaker badge. Like, haha, you think I'm smart.
I
have 2 channels while I'm there, so you should totally come and say hi.
Yeah. I've seen you guys there previous years at the Halo booths and all that.
Well, I mean, this one is more of my research stuff. So I have one on the year of games and psychology and review, and on my other one is what game design tells us about what society thinks about mental health.
Okay.
I've got to get a better title than that. That's really cumbersome.
That's a long title.
But yeah, I'll be talking about smart stuff.
So
but it looks so good on a business card.
Yes, Goose
Doctor of smart stuff.
Doctor of smart stuff.
And hammering things.
And hammering things, yes. Also be at GDC if anybody is there, and you can come say hi. And
when is GDC?
What was that?
No, when is GDC?
When?
Yeah.
It's next week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck. I'm not coming. No. I don't pay attention to GDC that much.
I mean, GDC is much more the academic side of games.
Yeah.
Like people talking about their dissertations and their research papers, which is why I'm super stoked.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, PAX East too. So I'm sure we will see you guys there.
Yes, we will. We'll have our own shirts there. Maybe.
Well, let's talk about some community stuff to kind of close this out. I know that people that are listening are probably diehard fans of Grifballhub and not so much of Rectify, because we got Rectified listeners as well, but I'm sure a majority of those folks that are on this thing are probably excited about you. they might already know this, but I don't know where. Is there any community nights or anything that's planned? Because I'd love to be able to have a chance to slay with you guys. So, was there a community game night coming up anytime soon, or where could we go if we wanted to find out more? Obviously, Grifballhub.com.
Okay.
Yeah, we run one night tournaments, and we run mixers pretty often on the site. We have an events forum you can go to and check out some upcoming events we have there. We have a Grifball League. Our first Halo 5 Grifball League will be kicking off. Signups, if people hear this before this upcoming Friday, the 11th, signups close on the 11th, so get in before then. We have so Grifball League will run for 6 weeks. People play Grifball games every single night. And 2 other things people should check out is on Wednesday and Thursday nights, we do our Grifball live streams. So Wednesday night, we have Wednesday night Grifball, and then Thursday night Grifball. We stream league games on those nights, and we also stream mixers, and sometimes it's just Goose and DJ get on, and whoever can hop into their lobby will go play some Grifball.
Nice.
For a few months, we did Warzone Wednesdays, where we'd hop on and do Warzone every Wednesday.
We played Shooty Halo.
We did. We played a lot of Shooty Halo in that time. And we're looking to have a Warzone night at some point as well to, harken back to those old dark days before we had Grifball.
I just want to take down a core with a hammer. That's all I want.
That will be awesome.
That's all I want.
You can definitely use the hammer in Shooty Warzone now. So I've been pummeled by it a few times now. I'm like, what was that?
If people need more Grifball, the best way to get a hold of us is actually via Twitter. So at Grifballhub. There's only one F, GRIF. So at Grifball or at Grifballhub, we're really responsive on there. There's the homepage, grifballhub.com, or /forums if you want to go into the forums. We're also on Facebook and Tumblr and Instagram. Yes. So we're kind of all over the place, but Twitter is where we're really good about putting out, hey, this event is coming up, and this is when we're going live, and things like that. And everything you could possibly ever want to know, whether it's a link to our Kickstarter. Yes.
You'll see a lot of those in the next month.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or information about RTX, anything we do on the hub. We love talking to people.
Awesome.
Love it. Who's Cheka, Cal, Grifball Hub. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the show today. Yay!
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
Applause for you guys. Applause for you guys.
Yay!
Yay!